then at the end, when they were on they had this little battle with the White Walkers and stuff, and they were on their boats going back defeated, and the Night King was standing on that little dock, and he raised his hands up like that, and everybody started trembling, and you could see that little outline of a crown.
Look, see them hating ass niggas talking, tell them niggas stop it. Move back, baby, run down Chester. Off the perky, boy, I'm dangerous. I'm in a double R, shit look like a spaceship. Everything is up good.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Redacted Show. I'm your host, Feeq or Feeq, with my co-host.
The co-host, Dane in the building. And we have a very special guest today. You know, obviously, some of y'all may know it's a very special weekend today to celebrate a very special person in the family. Y'all may get an idea what that is, but so today we have, you know, the person that brought me into this world and is the reason why who I am. We have my dad. You know, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kelvin Gilmore, and I'm the only person that can officially take Dana out of this world since I brought him. Thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I'm a little nervous. You know, public speaking isn't really my forte, but you know, I can't turn my son down and tell him no. So I'm here today, begrudgingly. But I am happy to be here, though.
I appreciate you coming on to the show. I remember when I first asked you, he had that look. He was like, Dana, what did you get yourself into this time? And then when I asked him, he was kind of shook and like nervous, and my mom's in the back. Obviously, she's, you know,
egging it on.
Yeah, egging it on.
She's like, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it's basically, I'm just like, Mom, just let him make the decision. But glad to have you on the show for this very special Father's Day special.
Thank you. Glad to be here,
sir. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. You know, see where everybody's at. You know, how everybody's doing, and yeah. So go ahead and go.
For me, I've been doing good. You know, still working at Redacted University. It's been interesting though these last few days because they've put a whole bunch more responsibilities on me, but they haven't raised my pay, so we're gonna talk about that soon with them to see what we can work out. But besides that, my routine at this point is work out, eat, sleep, and the show. At this point, I'm in that adulting routine now.
Yeah,
so that's interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm. But I've been doing good too. Been going to Redacted University, taking summer class now, working, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Going in my last year and just trying to lock in. You know, have someone to the left of me. You know, making sure I get there, cross the finish line. But yeah, I've been focusing on that, focusing on jobs, and obviously the show. I'm excited for the show and some more opportunities that we can garner. The other day, my account got hacked, so I'm kind of still bouncing back from that. You know what I'm saying? But luckily, my account was fairly new, so it's really nothing for me to just make a new one. But it's just kind of annoying.
Don't send him any money.
Yeah, but I say if I DM'd you, it's not me. It's not me.
You got a Russian bot, got you.
But them niggas from Stranger Things, they got me. But yeah. But how you been doing that?
Good. Just been working. It's the summertime, so it's hot.
Yes.
My profession is I'm a Houston firefighter. I've been doing that for 20 years. So it's that time of year where we have to be really cautious, you know, and take protective measures and making sure we stay hydrated. So, and, you know, taking care of the public. A lot of times they're not out there doing what they're supposed to do as far as taking care of themselves. So our EMS call volume goes up significantly, and we already have a staffing issue with the fire department. So I've been really, really busy. This is the first time I've taken like all my days off without going in and working some overtime. So I'm taking a much needed break before I get back into this EMS fire department stuff next Monday.
Yeah. She said you heard they got a staff showing, so Feeq trying to get in there. He been trying to get me to do that.
That'd be my workout. Get in there. I have a quick question though, since you're a firefighter. Okay. During Thanksgiving time, is it really that bad with people when I know they always talk about like people frying turkeys and stuff. Mm-hmm. Is it really? Do y'all really get calls about that?
No, not really. Not. No, I actually have made fires during Thanksgiving, but most of them really weren't people frying turkeys. Mm-hmm. It was actually people barbecuing turkeys that left them unattended overnight. So they would try to smoke some meat and have like a little small smoker on their patio, and the embers would go up and get into the eaves and then just start a fire. There was a last Christmas. Christmas is Thanksgiving.
Right. Last holiday.
A guy he had a huge barbecue pit. He was smoking a brisket and just left it unattended. And when we pulled around that corner, man, his house was fully involved. So when we get there, we really don't know what the exact cause of the fire is most of the time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can tell if there's a fire under the carport or in the garage, and you see a lot of fire coming out of the garage and the car is heavily involved. You can tell, okay, it probably originated in the car. But most fires you show up on, you don't know what the cause is until you put the fire out and you get an arson investigator to come out and see what it was. But, when we got there, we put the fire out and we noticed it was at the back of his house, and there is a covered area. That was the origin of the fire. And we asked him, what happened? And he said, I had a brisket on and left it on overnight, and it started from here. Sure enough, you could just see the pattern and everything that happened. They left the brisket out overnight. But we get some fires for people frying turkeys. Mostly from frying turkeys, we get people who get injured EMS wise. Like there's splatter from the oil, unattended children knocking it over and being burned. So we get me personally, we get more injuries for EMS with fried turkeys as opposed to just whole houses burning down with fried turkeys, because, just depending on the flame, sometimes when you dip that turkey in and the oil gets over the fire, sometimes it'll just rage out of control, but sometimes it's so much oil, and if you don't have a well-lit fire, it'll just it'll just go out automatically, because it's so what do you call it? It's not lean, but it has too much gas going into it, so when the oil gets on it and it's not a big flame, it'll just put it out. Sometimes that's rare, but a lot of times when the oil gets on there, it'll burst into flames. But a lot of times it's just something knocked over or something like that, something to that effect.
I don't think I've heard of like the fried turkey fire, I guess, fiasco. I've never heard of that.
No, I just seen like videos, and I've seen people like talk about it on the internet. Like it was some article. Somebody was like, "Please do not fry your turkeys this Thanksgiving. We don't want fires." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
I've never seen that. But,
no, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, obviously, my parents can cook, so they know what they doing. So I trust them not to do anything crazy. But I've never heard of that.
Now what I will say, the city and most cities are since people do fry a lot of turkeys, there are a lot of public service announcements. So around that time, you'll see commercials, or not commercials, but commercials with the city and fire departments showing you how to, or the precautions you should take before you fry turkey. And one of the most important ones is distance away from your home. You want to have at least 10 feet away from a building structure, and have your, get your garden hose out. Well, the water can actually make it worse, but if the oil gets onto something and it burns like a structure, at least you can put out the contents of that structure as opposed to trying to put out the fire with the garden hose where the oil and stuff is. But get you a little small extinguisher that's for oil based fires and stuff. And if you have those things out, you can have a safe fried turkey for it. So let's not put away the turkeys just yet for Thanksgiving. Just be cautious and take the measures that you need to be safe.
Okay.
I'm good on that fried turkey if I got to do all of that. That'll be somebody else's responsibility. But yeah, so obviously, for those who don't know, the new Game of Thrones prequel show is coming out this summer, I believe in August 21st. I don't know what day of the week that is, but y'all know, y'all got a calendar.
Probably Thursday or Friday. I don't know.
I don't know. But so with that, kind of wanted to make this like a Game of Thrones theme type episode and just, see where that leads. My dad is actually the person that got me on the show. He when they first, because they were watching it weekly back when I was in high school, like 2016, 2015, around there. And then I was just like, yeah, I'll watch it. And then all my other friends were watching it too. I'm like, damn, this must be pretty good or something. But I was like, I'll get to it later. And then fast forward to like the pandemic when the show was already done. I was just like,
Oh, you binged it?
Yeah, my dad, we had HBO Max, and then my dad was like, it's on here already. And then I was just like, all right, let me stop bullshitting and just watch it. And basically was hooked after that first season and binged it all the way through. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And was just like, Dad, you were right. And then we just each day, it was like each moment that having like we just had our little like discussion of like how I felt about the episode or like what crazy thing happened. Because like after that first season, like no one was really safe. So I was just like, wow.
Man, after the first episode,
yeah, I was just like, it got crazy. But yeah, that's how I got into Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was watching it. I didn't watch the first episode initially, but then I got caught up. I think my brother told me to watch it, and I started watching it weekly. And so once I got to like the second or third season, I was watching it weekly, and I was on Twitter, other things, just like, what y'all think about this episode, all this stuff. It was people talking about it. But yeah, that's how I got introduced to it. And I really liked how the characters were like, they introduced the character and you're like, okay, I really fuck with this character, but then they could get killed off the next episode. So I kind of like the sense that nobody was safe. It was more, I felt it was a realistic type feel to it.
Yeah. I think that kind of helped with like, the story up until like a certain point, obviously, because then you can kind of tell. And I remember my dad was telling me this too, like when they, like got past the books, they were kind of just freestyling. But
oh no, for real.
Yeah. That kind of helped you think about the story and like each character's story arc and character arc and how like they grew, like especially with Arya Stark, basically how she was just like this girl who was not really trying to like fit the mold of like a woman back then. She was trying to be in the field, like fighting.
She was trying to be in the trenches.
Yeah. And I just like her character arc, hers, Jon Snow's and all of them. But yeah. So how did our first question for our guests is, how did you get into Game of Thrones? And let's go from there.
Oh, okay. Well, how did I get into Game of Thrones? I was looking for a reason not to cancel my HBO subscription. That's how I got into Game of Thrones. We had watched, your mom and I had watched the best series that ever touched screen, which was The Wire.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, they still trying to get me to watch that too. I'm gonna watch it, but
yeah. So we loved it. We were so sad that it was going away, and for like a year, I was like, we don't even really need HBO anymore because The Wire is done with. And lo and behold, this show called Game of Thrones is on TV. I'm like, what is this shit right here? And got this old white tree with blood coming out of his eyes and all this other type of mess. So I'll say a few weeks went by, and then I think when the season came out, I didn't watch the entire season from week to week to week to week. But after the season was over, the first season, I was like, oh, well, let me just give it a try. And I watched it. And that first episode had me hooked when Jamie Lannister threw Bran out of the window after having sex with his own sister.
I was like, what?
I was hooked.
And I was like, what does my dad got me watching?
I've been a fanboy ever since. So I call The Wire 1A and Game of Thrones 1B since, and I give The Wire 1A because it came out first, and then Game of Thrones 1B. They're both really good shows that I enjoy.
Okay.
What were some of your favorite moments, like the different shows, like the different seasons, or like if you can pinpoint like one moment where it's just like, just when you think of Game of Thrones, like this is what you think about, like your favorite part of the show?
One of my favorite parts, I would say, hands down, it was the Battle of Hardhome. And a lot of people don't remember that, but that was the episode when at the end, when they were on they had this little battle with the White Walkers and stuff, and they were on their boats going back defeated, and the Night King was standing on that little dock, and he raised his hands up like that, and everybody started trembling, and you could see that little outline of a crown on his head. And people started rising. It gave me chills. It gives me chills just thinking about it right now. So there's there's a ton of things that I love about Game of Thrones. A lot of episodes, a lot of people say the Red Wedding, and the Red Wedding was good. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, it was the Battle of Hardhome at the end. It was the entire battle, actually, because, I was on pins and needles just wondering, what was going to happen. And, like, they just could not defeat these White Walkers. And I was like, how are they going to get out of this? What is going to happen? It's that time.
It was just like,
it was that episode where nobody was safe. And I was like, man, how are they gonna get out of here? And then when they, a few of them escaped and they were on their way, and you see the giant walking into the water, just throwing. He was walking like boom, boom, just throwing off those little whites off. I was like, okay, well, I guess he's safe. And then I thought that was it. I was like, oh, that was pretty good. Then they turned. You can just hear the water kind of waves hitting against the little boat as they're going out. And like, okay, they killed a lot of them. They're getting away. And everybody that they had just killed, the Night King had resurrected them. So that's my favorite part.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That scene, it was another scene during that battle when one of the wildlings, she saw one of the kids that was a White Walker, and she started walking towards it. Then like a group of the White Walkers, like kids, just jumped her.
Oh yeah,
that scene, I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
No, that was crazy. I'll say my favorite moment was like the Battle of the Bastards. It was like Jon Snow against Ramsay, because like that whole season really, like once they introduced Ramsay, I was like, okay, like he can't be that bad. We just got done with Joffrey.
Can't be that bad.
We just got done with Joffrey. I remember my dad, he would tell me like, you thought Joffrey was bad. Wait till you see this nigga. So I was like,
he was insane.
Like if I'm being dead honest, like the worst in terms of like just his evil, like his evilness. He's probably like the best villain I've seen in like media in a long time. Like him, it's like him, Thanos, and what's that girl name from Avatar? It was Zuko's sister.
Oh, why am I my mind went blank. I know who you talk about.
Yeah. Those top three, like I just remember growing up, like I just hated them. Well, at least with Thanos, like you kind of felt for what he was doing in terms of like why he did what he did in Infinity War, but he was just like tearing through the Avengers. But Ramsay was cold-blooded for real. Like he almost like spoiled me in terms of villains, because it's like there's no way he's this crazy. And when that happened, and then he was basically just toying with Jon, it was just like you're not. I guess in his mind he was just like, you're not better than me, dude. Like I'm the better son, like the better bastard.
I'm the better bastard.
Yeah. And when he killed his brother, I was like, yo, like this this nigga not playing around.
No, as soon as he
He's
told,
not playing
as soon as
around.
he told him to run in the field, I said, "You're about to die if you don't zigzag." And that nigga kept running straight. I said, "Yeah, you're good."
I would say that, and just like that whole fight scene of just like Jon Snow being the hero that he was, and just like going crazy. I'm thinking like, how is Jon Snow not dead? Like, because there was like crazy like scenes and like choreography in there where it's like you thinking he's gonna get slatted, and when it's basically only him with his army, because he can only garner so much in terms of like his fighting power and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just like that, and just like the whole arc leading up to that with him capturing Greyjoy and just like using him as his little pet basically. And yeah, that I would say that part was my favorite. But the Battle of Hardhome was definitely like a close second. I almost forgot about that. Like when Dad was saying like he got chills, like I just remember like, bro, this dude's not. He
was next level.
Yeah, he was next level for real.
No, I think for me, I had to look it up. I forgot the name. The Battle of Gold Road. It's when they were trying to transport something, but it was like one of the first time the dragons showed up and they scorched like the entire field.
Yeah,
with Daenerys. Just seeing, the dragon do that, I was like, okay, I don't know how you about to beat this. I said, you need something. You need a dragon to beat this dragon, because just seeing that scene and just really with all these battles, the way they were able to like film it and shoot it, where it was like past movie quality before a show. That was one of the first few shows I was like, okay, these are movies that I'm watching right now.
There you go. Yeah.
So that's what I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could definitely tell with like the CG was good. Like you said, these are basically like mini movies and shows. There's like very few shows to do that. I would say Game of Thrones did it well. I would say Stranger Things did it well too. Is like obviously the production on them is very good, and you can tell like obviously the shit fake, but
yeah,
it's like
they look real.
They look real. But yeah. So our next question for our guest is where or I guess your least favorite moments. Like what was the part where you just like, why would they do that? Like your least favorite moment about the show?
When they introduced the Sand Snakes to the show, those three girls, the Martell guy who was smashed his daughters. Mm-hmm. When they brought them into the show, they just weren't that interesting. It had potential, but I mean, they have their dialogue was poor. Their meaningfulness to the show, I don't even know why they were even there. It was bad. It was almost like you have this grade A quality show, and then they cut to a scene of Xena Princess Warrior. Have y'all ever seen that show? Oh, it's bad. No, it's bad. And like they used to have this show called Hercules too, that would come on like Saturday afternoons. Just bad production, bad quality, and that's what it was akin to. You're watching this stellar show, and then they cut to this, and it was just terrible. And then they cut back to the real stuff, and I was so glad when they were done with their storyline. So that was disappointed me. And Tyrion in the later seasons, his counsel to Daenerys, it was just bad. It wasn't. He was just telling her all the wrong things to do, and I was like, "Come on, Tyrion, man, you've given way better advice. You've been way more thoughtful about the things that you said to people." And like, why are you telling this girl to do this when this isn't the best course of action? Yeah. So, and I love Tyrion as a character. He's one of my favorite characters in the show, but just that last season. And personally, I like the last season. A lot of people didn't like the last season. They have a lot of qualms about the way that it ended, but I liked it. But with that respect to the last season, the advice that Tyrion was given, I didn't like that. And when you brought up CG, Game of Thrones is to me a close second to Planet of the Apes in CG. Yeah. And like I'm a CG guy. If I'm looking at the CG and it's terrible, I can't get into it. I mean, it's like, come on, man, y'all got to do better than this. But all of their CG through the entire show was great, except for that last battle. Well, that battle that they had with the whites out in the snow, in the open area.
Yeah.
It was so dark.
Yeah,
And I think they did that.
noticing that.
I think I was like, is something wrong with my television? And I was like, you don't have to watch this again. And it was so dark. It was like you couldn't hardly see what was going on. And it was almost like they had to do it intentionally because they had so many things going on. They had to compact so many body parts, so much stuff into it that they couldn't light it up. And or if they did, it would look super bad. So it's like, oh, let's go dark with it so they can't see some of these imperfections in the CG. So I was a little bit disappointed in that a little bit, but I still thought it was good. I mean, it still was good. So
yeah. I remember that, like, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
But I remember that scene, like that whole battle, and it was, I remember watching it upstairs, and I was like, I can't see shit. I couldn't see nothing. I'm like, do I gotta turn up the brightness? But I couldn't see anything. But it was almost like it was kind of hard for them to do that. Like I think by that time they had a decent budget to produce that, but like you said that like they just either didn't have the time or money to make it worth watching. So they're just like, I mean, for time's sake, we'll just kind of put a kind of hand wave it and just let it be what it is. But yeah. It wasn't too many, I guess, least favorite moments. I would say, like you said, the Sand Sisters, they are pretty forgettable. Like when you, I was like, damn, they were part of that.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, I don't even remember them.
Yeah,
I do,
it was
because
that bad.
one of them was like talking to the dude, like you said, I think it was Partel, the guy who plays the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah.
I think his name is his last name Martell.
Yeah,
I
Martell.
say it's Alien Martell, or I think that's his name.
His death almost was. It was just his death was sad because of how he died, not because of like why he died. Because you kind of like isolate his character. He wasn't really doing
Nothing.
a lot. Like they like Dad said, they kind of just introduced him there, I guess, to
fill something.
to fill some sort of like gap. It was almost like a filler arc.
Yeah.
Whose art?
Well, just like their house.
Oh, the girls or just their house?
Their house kind of in general. Like I like the character, but it almost seemed a bit filler-esque now that I'm remembering it. But I would say probably that. But and then I wouldn't say least favorite moment, but definitely least favorite character was Bran after he became the Raven.
Oh,
he was just a vegetable. He didn't do anything. And the thing is, he knew everything, obviously, but he just didn't do anything. And now
he turned into the professor.
Basically. Thought he was Professor X, especially in that damn chair.
Okay, here is a question that I have for most people because there are a lot of people who are upset with Bran.
Okay.
And I'm personally not. And my question to y'all is, okay, well, what did y'all want him to do?
At least let them know he has the knowledge.
Like Bran's character, especially that like last episode when they were like, we're making a democracy. I was like, oh my god, bro. I'm like, get this shit off my screen. His character just felt like he was like it was like he was a asshole, but like he didn't know he was being an asshole. Like he would be there, it would be niggas dying around him, and he'd have a fucking panic attack. Not a panic attack, but he'll have an episode where he's seeing the future or seeing shit. Yeah. I'm like, bro, everybody's getting killed around you.
Like I
know you can't run, but say something.
Yeah, I liked him up until like once he became the Raven, especially that scene where the guy like the handicapped dude they had.
Hodor.
Yeah, Thodor.
And Hodor.
Yeah, Hodor.
Because hold the door.
I was like, yeah, that scene was sad too, and that was a crazy scene. And like just his backstory, I'm like, I'm thinking like he's kind of been around. Like they didn't make him like an important character, but he was part of their group. So I'm like, obviously he's important for something. Like there's something up with him, and when they kind of revealed that, I was like, wow. But
no, that
I'll
hold
say
the door
that.
scene was very. It got me. I said, that's what his name means. Oh God.
Shoot, he held that door.
Yeah, then got eaten.
Yeah.
That was his whole purpose in the thing, was to hold the door.
And I was gonna say another. I think another point in the show that was kind of like, what is going on was I forgot her name, but the witch lady who wore the red and stuff. Who had that shadow?
Melisandre.
Yeah, when she had that shadow kid or whatever demon, because it didn't show up again,
That
right?
was
It never showed up after like the few scenes it was in, if I remember.
Well, which are you talking about when she created the child to kill the Baratheon? Not Ramsay. His name starts with an R. To kill the brother. You talking about that?
Robert?
No, not Robert. The youngest brother. You
yeah.
Stannis.
Yeah.
Robert. Damn, what's it? Renly.
Yeah,
Renly
Renly.
Baratheon. Now I remember her creating a child then to kill Renly.
Yeah.
So you
I think
didn't
was,
like that part?
It was. I just not that I didn't like. It was just weird because it was like she was like it just showed it because I think it happened in the. Did it happen in the tent? It happened somewhere. I'm trying to remember.
I do remember that shadow creature because I remember Brienne saw it.
She saw
That's
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when, she basically, she had that Bake's child with Stannis. They had sex that night and created that child or demon, and it went to go kill Renly so he could have control. He didn't want any more defiance as his birthright to the throne other than Joffrey and the Lannisters.
Okay.
So
That makes more sense now.
Okay,
Watching it originally, I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I was
But
definitely
I liked her
confused.
character though, Melisandre. She was
Yeah, she was
she
crazy.
was
But
very
she was almost like a
manipulative.
liaison to everything going on. Like she was almost like the person sort of tying everything together because there was a lot of different story arcs going on in the north. Like obviously with the Men in Black, like the Night Watch.
Yeah, the Night Watch.
And them obviously in King's Landing and obviously Daenerys's journey back to Westeros and things like that. So she was kind of like the one, in my opinion, tying everything together. And yeah.
What do y'all think about when Melisandre had Stannis Baratheon and his wife burned, their daughter burned at the stake? Shireen.
That was crazy. That was when I
crazy.
kind of lost respect for old dude. Because I'm like, you're not even a person anymore. Like, she literally is puppeteering. Like, you can't think for yourself. Like, you not thinking, like, this isn't okay.
And the mom was standing right there next to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just seeing that like on screen, I was like, oh my goodness, bro. This was wild. But yeah, when she went, at first I thought he wasn't gonna get convinced. Like when she was talking to him, I was like, no way. I said, it's no damn way he agrees to this. And then when they put her on the stake, I said, what the fuck?
Yeah. Because the mom didn't really care because the daughter had, I think, grayscale.
Yeah. It was grayscale or another.
Yeah, it was
business.
grayscale.
Yeah.
But it had stopped though.
Yeah.
It had stopped. But I actually asked about that part because to me, and as y'all are young men right now, as you get older, it parallels to the real world because those are the links that people that y'all are going to be around will go through to gain power. You know, it may not be burning their daughter at the stake. I mean, because you obviously can't do that now, but they'll go through any links to have power over you. So that's why I ask. So, and as y'all get older, you'll see like, oh man, he really with the shits. He really trying to get over on me, or she. So I thought that was a very good moment in the show, and it was really sad.
Yeah.
And she had to go back to the wall with her tail between her legs, like, oh
Yeah,
all
she
shit
was.
I've been talking.
She was like,
all these seasons I've been talking. Oh yeah, it didn't come to fruition.
yeah, that's what they like. you're faking it. Like you're not really with the stuff. But yeah, that was kind of questionable. But it almost kind of needed, I guess, to be done to like propel the plot in a way. But it was just like, wow, like that's crazy. But so I guess our next question is, where would you have liked the show to gone if you had done it differently, or like what part in the show? So I guess it's a 2-part. Like, what part in the show did you feel like it kind of veered off from the mean, and like where would you like it to gone differently?
Well, I'll harken back to the Sand Snakes when it went in that direction. Like I said, I really didn't like. But if I had it to do, I feel like they could have inputted the Greyjoys. You know, if you have read the books or listened to the audiobooks, they have like a very, very interesting backstory. And there's, you know, Theon, of course, he's the son of, what's that, Baratheon, his dad's, Balon Greyjoy. And Balon has 3 more brothers. He has Euron, he has another brother that starts with an A, and Victarion. And Euron, man, he was crazy. He was really, really, really crazy. He molested 2 of his brothers growing up. He had sex with one of his brother's wives, and the husband was so distraught, Victarion, he wound up murdering his wife, and Balon banished Euron from Pike, where they reside at. And in the show, they actually had a scene of the king's moot, but I felt like if they'd had more backstory to the Greyjoys in showing like their family and how nuts that they are, and plus they're like a dark family. You know, when you're on Pike and they cut through to the Greyjoys, it has that more of a Game of Thrones sense to it, more of a vibe. When you cut to the Sand Snakes, it's more of like what's going on in Essos with Daenerys and being in Marine and stuff. And, you know, that is their part of the country in the map that they're in, Dorne, which is south of Westeros. But I just felt like they could have just done much, much more with a Greyjoy storyline. And, you know, they could have done a good spinoff with them like they're doing with these other folks. I think people would have liked their backstory, and it would have lent itself to more adventures, because when Euron was banished, he did all this stuff at sea. You know, he cut the tongue of all his men on his ship. Oh shit. When he was at sea. Yeah, he was nuts. So I feel like, yeah, they really could have done a lot with that. So that's where I would have gone with the show. If I had it to do, I would have really liked to see something with the Greyjoys.
Did you like the ending, like how it ended in? Well, you said you were a fan of the season, so like, well, like the last season, but so you kind of keep that, and would you keep like I guess the idea of Jon Snow secretly being Aegon Targaryen and just nobody really knew it? That was kind of questionable to me.
What, like being the son of Lyanna?
Yeah,
and being cousins. Wait, were they cousins?
Well,
no, that was.
Well, actually, Daenerys was the aunt of Jon.
Yeah.
That was his aunt.
Yeah, that was kind of.
Well, to answer that question about the season, here's the thing. I use this analogy. You know, Dan and Dave had been with the show since the beginning, and they were tired. They were ready to be done with it. And I use this analogy as parents, and y'all may have felt this way as athletes. When track season started and we done signed up for Track Houston and the season started, oh man, I'm ready to go. Oh, I get to see Dana and all them, and we're ready for track season to start. Man, we going to JOs and all this stuff, and it's gonna be great. But by the time JOs come and it's over and we're there and you're in that hot sun and Lord knows where, California, Florida, wherever JOs is, as a parent, you're like, I'm ready for this shit to be over with. Okay, is this done yet? Is it done? And I feel like that's how Dan and Dave were. They were ready to be done. And they was like, man, let's just wrap this shit up so we can go on with what we have to do. So I understand that they just needed to wrap it up. Plus, George R. R. Martin, I mean, dude, are you gonna write some more in these books? I mean, we just out here we freestyling. You know what I'm saying? We out here, mumble rap freestyling with the end of the season. So I was fine with it. I knew they were ready to be done, and they finished it. And I was okay with it. And the question that I asked before, like all these people that are disappointed with the ending, no one knows how it's going to really end except George.
Yeah.
And what these people that hated, what did they want to do? I mean, there was some bad acting, like I said, Tyrion, and toward the end. But what do y'all want? What did y'all want?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was just some parts like I didn't necessarily like Daenerys's fall, like when she was on this like pedestal of I'm the true heir to the crown. I'm gonna do it the right way, and then
she kind of
just snapped and was like,
crazy.
she's no better than Cersei when she burned half of King's Landing, and I was like, damn.
I kind of like that part because always, for me, whenever I see characters, I kind of like when it's like certain characters kind of do a descent into like stuff that they say they wouldn't want to do. So I kind of like that parallel of showing her that like, oh no, you're no better than Cersei. You're honestly probably the same or worse. So I kind of like that parallel of like Cersei was already bad. So if she was already at like the low, Daenerys was kind of like up here. She's like, oh, I'm gonna save all these people, all this stuff. But then she ended up just like doing the things that she said she wouldn't do. So I kind of like that parallel they did with her.
She saw like, well, we can't do this the right way because Cersei's just gonna keep going lower and then fuck our shit up. Like the scene where Euron's brother, I think like he had all them ships and basically took over like their like raided them, like blindsided them and like kidnapped Theon's sister and basically overran them, and I was like, damn. And then had the giant ass crossbow to take down like one of the dragons. Yeah. That was another thing that kind of made me mad. Like Daenerys really did not care about them dragons because why are you bringing a dragon that close to the White Walkers in that one scene when she's saving Jon and them, and how like it ended up coming back to bite them when they were fighting, and then like when the other one got shot out the sky when they were going to King's Landing. I'm like, why? I don't know. It's just like she wasn't really.
She cared about a dragon.
Yeah, dragon, not the other two.
She cared about one.
Well, you got to think though, when she was in Essos on that continent, like nobody could touch her. So she was used to just being like, "Oh, okay, y'all, I got this. I got this, y'all." Just like when you run in track and you've been dusting everybody off in Houston, you've been dusting everybody off at Gulf Coast, and then you go to JO's, and then there go Brandon Miller. I got something for you. I got something for you. So that I think that's kind of how she felt when she just was a little bit cocky. But like I said, what I liked about the show, a lot of the lessons that you learn, they parallel into real life. She just took what she had for granted, and she didn't think anybody could touch her. And think about this: y'all two are good friends, right? Mm-hmm. And let's just say hypothetically, you're Daenerys, and and he's Miss Sandy. And y'all go, oh, we're finna go over here, we're finna conquer Westeros and stuff, and like you good. Like, oh, I'm gonna be the good king and I'm gonna do everything right. And you come across Cersei, and she does the same thing to him that she did to Miss Sandy. Ain't you gonna be feeling some kind of way?
Oh yeah.
So it was slowly, there were things that chipped away at her good faith and her kindness. The Miss Sandy being killed, Tyrion giving her bad advice, Sansa doing a little sneak stuff that she was doing, not liking her and all other kinds of stuff. So it just slowly eroded her trust in everybody. And then when she found out Jon Snow was actually a Targaryen and had a truer right to the throne, she's like, I'm finna kill all you motherfuckers. Fuck what y'all talking about. We can't, like you said, we can't do this the nice way. I'm coming in with my dragon. So, I like that too. I like that part of it too.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm interested to see like if because I guess we may be skipping ahead, but it's okay. But for those who don't know, they did release they came out with the idea of like a Jon Snow sequel. So wondering if they'll probably go more in depth into that, or he's just going back to the
wall,
to the night, to the wall and to the Night Watcher that is doing that. And I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see if they kind of explore that idea. But yeah, next question is, what are you looking forward to and seeing in the new House of Dragons prequel?
The House of Dragons. To be honest, and this is one thing I hate about HBO, the lull between one season and the next, and the lull between one show and the show continuing is just too long sometimes. Yeah. And when did the show end? In
29? It's 18?
It's something around there.
It was definitely
in 2019.
2019.
Okay.
So 19, 20, 21, 22. It's been 3 years. To be honest, until Dana told me I was going to be on the show, I didn't care. I saw the previews. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. You know, it's just been too long because they did that with a show called Entourage. Me and your mom, we loved that show. It was good. Mm-hmm. Y'all probably don't know about it, but it was a show about these 5 white guys. They were hanging around this rich actor, and they just took place in California. It was a really good show. It was a really popular show. And when it ended, they were talking about making a movie or doing a spinoff, but they never did. And then like 4, 5, 6 years later, we're going to do a movie on Entourage. All them motherfuckers was old. I mean, they weren't even the same people. I'm like, y'all waited too long. So when they came out with we're going to do House of Dragons, like I honestly didn't care. So I was like, all right, let me look at the trailer. So I looked at the trailer and I saw a brother. I'm like, okay, what he doing up in there? You know, what he doing? you know, is he our token black guy, or what people been calling in? NAACP done called in, like, get us a brother up there. So I watched this video, and what I like about George is, you know, he not only just created a book, he created a world. Yeah. It's not just the book of Game of Thrones and what happened in that book. He created a world. So a lot of people who are complaining about the show and how it ended don't even realize that, you know, there's a whole globe of stuff, and we're just seeing a narrow part of the globe and what he shows. Like, you got Westeros, you have Essos, that's to the east, and to the south, kind of in the middle of Essos and Westeros, there's these islands. It's called the Summer of Isles. And when you read his books, George never really mentions race in a way. You know, he'll mention houses, but he's like, oh, black, the white girl this, or the black guy this. He gives a vivid description of what the people look like. And, you know, I've seen people on YouTube like, why aren't there more black people in the Game of Thrones? And I was like, well, if you read the books, there's plenty of ethnic colored people in the books. Just read the books, you know. And in the book, there's these islands called the Summer Isles. And when he describes them, they're black people. And they're saying, and another issue I had with the trailer is, I'm like, okay, when is this taking place? You know, these folks are obviously from Valyria somewhere, and is it taking place then or where? So I found out when it's taking place. It's taking place after the doom of Valyria and after Aegon's conquest. And I'm like, okay. And then I start finding out, okay, this guy gave kind of like a good reason why this guy, I think his name is Corlin or Cor something, why he could be black. And he gave a really good explanation, and he talked about the ports all over the country and the intermingling of different races and stuff like that. So it did raise my interest. So, I am a lot more interested in seeing it now because, Dana brought it up, and I looked at the trailer, and I'm curious to see, how they're going to angle this brother being there, and, what actually is going to take place, and so on and so forth. So I'm a little bit more eager now that you mentioned, not totally eager like I am with Game of Thrones, but I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it out and see how it is.
Yeah, I was gonna check it out too. And when I asked him, I didn't know that he didn't watch. I was like, oh snap, we had to figure something out. But no, like my dad said, I thought it was interesting. Initially, from what I've seen from like just the teasers, obviously they're kind of exploring that idea of like the House Targaryen, because from the show all we got was Daenerys, and then originally like her brother, who was an asshole basically, and like just from what other people said. So like we kind of get to see how they move, like I guess like the different houses under them, like in their umbrella. Maybe like with the black people in there, they might be from the Summer of Owls. I'm not too sure. I'm just spitballing, but I'm kind of interested to see like how it all ties back, I guess, into the current Game of Thrones world. Because like that said, another thing that I liked about the show was like the world building that they did was very good, like very well done, and even you thinking like this is whole like world, and it's really like Dad said, only just a continent of like just a piece of what's actually going on in the real world of Game of Thrones. So they have a lot to explore there, with like the House of Dragons or the Jon Snow sequel, or if they wanted to do like a House of Stark like prequel, or like their house, and they can do that, or like with the Greyjoys, like the possibilities are endless. So I'm interested to see this House of Dragons show. Well, probably may do weekly reviews on it. I'm not too sure. Depends on what you want to do. But yeah. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. For me, I only saw they had like a trailer-ish for the House of Dragons, but it wasn't any like footage or nothing. It was kind of just like, it was like a sequence of showing like the world, and then it was like people talking in the background. I forgot the exact video I watched. For me, I'm partially excited for it, but I'm partially kind of like not for it being like Game of Thrones or anything, because I enjoy Game of Thrones, just partially because it's been those 3 years, so it's kind of just like what's gonna happen that's gonna grab my attention. That's not just like a dragon, because dragons, like we've seen dragons in Game of Thrones, like it's cool to see it, but I need to know like what the actual like plot line is, so I can be interested.
Can't be the plot device. I mean, they might be, because in one of the trailers it was like a scene of them like I guess preparing a dragon egg. So obviously they're gonna be a part of the show because that's their family. But yeah, like you said, the show just can't be good CG dragons flying around everywhere. It needs some plot in there, but yeah, excited for that. Do you got anything else, or?
Oh no, that was that was all I had for it, really, because I haven't really looked up any more stuff for it. After I watched that trailer, I was like, okay, I'll see once they actually do like another full trailer, maybe in like the end of the year or whenever they actually drop it. Then I can have a better opinion.
Yeah, they probably will. I mean, it's getting closer. Like, it's still mid-June. The show's not coming out till like August. So might get another like more, I guess, stuff in terms of like first looks or any other leaks, I guess. Maybe like in July or something. But, like you said, I haven't really been focused on it because I've been watching other shows and like other anime and things like that. And like with The Boys and Stranger Things and like Disney Plus shows and all that. But just haven't really given it much thought because like you said, obviously it's been a 3-year gap with anything related to that world. And at least for me, it's like 2 years because I finished it in like early 2021. So it's from that, but it's like for people like my dad watching it weekly and watching it when it ended, it's like, do I even really want to watch this? Or, but I'm pretty sure I trust that they'll do justice for the show. And we'll see when it comes out. But yeah, so that's pretty much the end of our first part. So we can go ahead and get into the next part of the show.
Get in our bag section. So to get in our bag section, pretty much we just have random questions or a random question or questions, and then we just get into our bags. One of the first ones, because Dana was telling me that you what's the name of the game? Star. Go ahead, tell me.
StarCraft.
StarCraft. I was gonna say Stargate.
Isn't that a show?
Yeah, that is definitely a show, old show. So
you about to have Dad swing off.
He's about to tweak out.
Yeah, like, you see my hand like here. It's just hitting my pen against my hand. Like, come on now.
So he's playing StarCraft. What was one of the earliest introductions to gaming for you?
Okay, that is a good question. Well, for me, unlike you guys, growing up, we didn't have consoles inside the house. So we had to go to the gas station and they would have these Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Donkey Kong, or at the food store.
Did they have arcades at the gas station?
No, they weren't
It was like the units.
The units?
Yeah, they would have the units there.
That's what I meant, like the units at the gas station.
Yeah, because where else were they going to be? You couldn't afford them. They were tens of thousands of dollars back then for those things. So, man, I was in that story just the other day, looking in that direction where I would go and play Miss Pac-Man at the store. So, that was one of my first introductions to games. And then early on, I went over to a friend of mine's house and he did have Pong. And I don't know if y'all know what that is, but there's like the two sticks on one side.
Yeah, I know Pong.
And all you have, the controller was just like a flat thing with like a knob that you twist the little sticks going up and down to try to keep it on. So that's like my earliest, but I really wouldn't consider that like a true gaming console. But that's how I was introduced, was like putting quarters, inside of games and playing track and field. There was a game called Track and Field. And you could actually kind of cheat because they had these the buttons on there.
Hex? They had hacks back then.
Well, the way you could cheat was actually, because they had these two buttons where you would run and you hit them back and forth like that, tapping them back and forth like that to run. And then you have another button to press for, it could be to jump, it could be to throw a javelin, it could be to throw a shot put. So once you ran or hit the buttons to twirl to get your momentum for the shot put, you hit the other button. So when I was doing the back and forth, trying to build up the speed, whether it was for hurdles, javelin, or whatever, I would just get off. Like, you'd be doing like this, and then I'd be like, I would just mess up. Like, damn, man, I could never reach my peak. And then one time I went into the store and I saw a guy, he had a pencil in his hand, and he had it straddled between his hands like this, and the middle two fingers were in between the two buttons, and the outside fingers were covering the pencil. So he would just do press down on one end, and the momentum of him coming up would press the other button on the other side. So he would do like this and be going real fast. I'm like, damn. He would go real fast, and I'm like, oh, he's the dude that got all the records on the game. So I started doing that. I was like, oh man, and then just start doing like that, and that's how I got good at track and field. So that was like one of the first cheat modes, or that was before left, right, up, down, select, and all that. So, and that was at the little gas station I used to go to. And then Pac-Man, there was no cheat code for that. You just had to be good. And Galaga, man. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. I'm gonna put this out there on the air, man. I was like the guy in Galaga. I was the guy in Galaga. And people think I'm lying. When I say this, I was so good at Galaga. When I played the stand-up version, which what we had back then, I got so far in the game stopped. It stopped. How bullshit you not? That game, it stopped. It couldn't go no more. I was like, I did that. Because I had figured out a pattern to dodge all the little missiles and stuff that the guys were falling down, because they were typically come down in like a certain pattern. And once you got those dual shooters, I figured how to maneuver my way through each little stage. And they were all the same. Well, like there would be probably 6-7 different stages, but they would just move different each stage. So once you figured out how to get them, well, no, they wouldn't move different each stage. They would move the same each stage, but they would just move faster as the game progressed. So you go to stage 1, they come out, it's slow, but by the time you get to 50, it's the same thing, but it's going fast. It's going faster. So I figured out how to do it. And I was like, man, I did that. So I tell people that story now, like, man, get out of here, man. You ain't beat Gallagher. But I did, man. I remember where I was when I did. The game just stopped. And when I came back, they must have unplugged it and plugged it back in because my high score was gone. And everything was reset back to 0. Yeah. So that's how
surgical with that bitch Jake.
Basically, I was Jake before there was a Jake, but that was how I got introduced mainly to video games. And I love playing video games so much as a young kid. We used to go to Walmart sometimes with my mom. So as soon as we would go into the store, I have my little 4 quarters or whatever. So, the goal is to make them last. So she would be in the store shopping while I'm playing the game. So when she would leave, be ready to go, she was like, all right, Bubba, I'm getting ready let's go. But I'm still on the game. I'm like, I'm not moving. She waiting on me. So I would play, and then when I was done, I went out to that parking lot. She was gone. I had to walk home. So, and in Lufkin, it ain't that far from your house, but it was a grip. It was like at least from here to Humboldt High School. So, as a kid, that's a little walk. She was like, all right, fuck what you talking about. I'm gone. So she left me there. She did that a couple of times. Now, if I was at the mall, it was way further away. So when she said, let's go, I left then. But like Walmart, somewhere I feel like, I can make it to the house, I'm staying. I stayed on the game. So yeah, I love playing video games. Well, I loved playing video games back then.
That's funny. Just like thinking about it, because I think I know which Walmart you're talking about, like the one where me and mom went to get the keys made, or is that a different one?
No, that's a different Walmart. This Walmart was on Timberland Drive in Lufkin, so it was a lot closer. That's that part up there where y'all went wasn't even built up yet. It was just road and woods. Yeah, that was nothing when I was a kid.
Wow. So how did I guess for the people, because you told me how you got into StarCraft, but how did you get into StarCraft for the audience?
Okay, well, I was a GI in the military, and I was stationed in Korea, and my roommate was a Katusa, and I forget what Katusa stands for, but it's like Korean something serving in the United States Army. So in Korea, they have mandatory military service for 2 years. So one of the good jobs in their military is to be a Katusa and serve with our military, because like we in our army, they're not going to really fuck with them that much. And they act as translators for us when we go and meet people out in the civilian world, other generals or military personnel that we have to come across that are all Korean units. They're like our translators. So my roommate was a Katusa. So one day he was playing this game and I was like, what's that you're playing, Che? His name was Che. And he was like, this is StarCraft. I was like, okay. All right. Okay, yeah, that's cool. He was like, man, this game is very popular. I was like, this game right here? He was like, yeah, man, we have television shows on. We have large audiences for this game. I was like, when when you say audience, like how big is the audience? He was like, they could fill your football stadiums. I was like, man, get out of here. He was like, yeah, that's how big this game is in Korea. And I was like, all right, look, can I play? And he sat down and he let me, I tried to play. And I remember I picked the race Zerg. And there's 3 races in StarCraft. There's Protoss, there's Zerg, and Terran. So I was Zerg. So I'm sitting here trying to play the game, and one of the units in Protoss who I was playing against, one unit came down, it was a Zealot, came down out of the dark into my screen and just killed everything that I had been building. And ever since that day, I've been hooked on the game. So my roommate, who was a Katusa in the army, introduced me to the game StarCraft when I was in Korea serving a hardship tour at Camp Gary Owen in South Korea.
Yeah, I remember like growing up and I would see like my dad on the StarCraft. Like I would be walking in from elementary school and like you would just see him playing it. I'm like, oh, what's that? And I didn't know what this shit was. So he would tell me, I was just like, oh, it looks cool. And then I know like games, well, at least growing up now, I know Halo tried to do like a version of that with like Halo Wars and basically the same thing about StarCraft, but it's like StarCraft did it first. Like they're more popular and just kind of, I just remember my dad put me on that and just him playing it. And there's probably been times where he tried to get us to play it, but it's just like, like
they couldn't understand.
They wanted to play. And a lot of people don't know that StarCraft started esports. It started like the whole esports, anything that's considered esports, it all originated from competitive StarCraft play. And in Korea, I don't know if they, well, I'll say, yeah, Korea is where it started and then got bigger and bigger. So anything and everything that is esports now, it all originated with the game of StarCraft.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. That's kind of cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Because now it's just like this whole world of, you have like obviously competitive Call of Duty, Fortnite,
Overwatch.
Yeah, Overwatch. That's
Apex,
a big one. Yeah, Apex.
League of Legends.
Valorant. All of them. So that's the crazy thing about it. Just started with StarCraft. But do you have another question?
I think did you have a question? I had like a last one to end off. The last question just to end off, since it is Father's Day and everything, and you are a father of 3, what advice would you give, or what have you, I guess it kind of be 2-part. What have you like learned being a father, or like, and what advice would you give just to like people that are potentially will be fathers one day?
Potentially be fathers. I would say, I mean, there's many lessons you can give as a dad, but I would say, in my cousin John, he's like my brother. He has 2 young daughters right now, really 2 and 4, and like they wear his ass out. They wear him out. They own him all the time. They crying. They want him to pick you up and pick him up and do this. And what I would say as a father, when I grew up, my family really wasn't known as being like affectionate. Like, we wasn't the huggy type stuff. And it come from my grandmother. And as a father, I look back on it now and I wish I had done more of it when my sons were babies, just picked them up a little bit more and pat them on the back a little bit more, hug them and squeeze them a little bit more. So, we're taught to be providers. And I always saw that as my number one goal, to make sure they have a roof over their head and have a better life. That was my goal. Have a better life than I live. I give you some hugs and kisses later. Oh, your mama can do that. Take being a provider for your family seriously, as you should, but take the time out, having a little bit more affection towards your babies and stuff, a little bit more too when you're a young dad too. So that's the advice I would give especially a new dad.
Okay,
a little bit more TLC. in the life, along with being a good provider.
Okay, that's real good advice.
Yeah, real good advice. No, well, that's everything. Just close up. Thank you again, Dad, for coming on the
Glad
show.
to
I
be
appreciate
here.
it.
Glad to be here. It was
I know
great.
you're probably nervous, but I feel like we
No, this episode was good. This episode was good.
show.
I liked it.
I knew it was gonna be good, but I'm glad my dad was able to be here and just be comfortable. I think after them first questions, he was able to get them. So
he got in his flow. I was like,
listening. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a good one. But
I had to do my best not to say the N word. So I'm a public servant, so I can't have one of my coworkers like, "Oh, Gilmore said N word on podcast. We gonna get him in trouble." So maybe when I retire, I use a little bit more on the podcast.
But thank you for coming out. Again, this has been the Redacted Show. Make sure you guys following us on all platforms. Make sure y'all rate us 5 stars, share us with your friends and family. If y'all have any other topics you want us to talk about, make sure you guys DM us on our social media accounts. Our YouTube channel is coming into the works. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to put a date on that yet. Just know it's coming. And we have some more media and content for you guys. So with that being said, this has been your boy, Dane.
Your boy, Feeq.
And we out.
Peace.
Recipes call me, I'ma show 'em how to shoot. On the 4-5, jump in the ass, my crew. Yeah, I'm stepping with a fan, keeping all of the hoes on mute. Pull a little part, could be yellow with a brew. 48 vert, quick burns. Crazy 8s in the back, yeah, the trunk on hot like a cube. 40 on me when I'm in the backseat. Blotter, paper pre-cut. Chris make juice, it'll drop like ink. Chain came with a clean plate, came with a sink. The Parator came with a mink. Tricones white like paint. My hoe by the hoe, cause she know it's my king. Hit on my side, cause I drop a song. Think you should hit up the link. The phenotype came from the pink Colombian thing. Yeah, the genetics unique. Cellular right on the beat. I'm teaching the hoe like I'm Play-Doh. I got the veggies like by the tomato. You got a basic hoe making Alfredo. I put a bag on a hoe on my payroll. I get active at night, then I lay low. The salmon was breaded with panko. Struck in my soup, I believe it was makeup. Got my Soviet clutching the Draco. It was bacon, we taking your cake though. I got the tree like a poplar. Flipping that Tim, ain't no hand.